Bam! Mississippi has medical weed. That's right, you heard it here last, folks. A couple weeks ago, Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves famously said 3.5 grams of weed is too much weed to have on the street. Phrasing, of course. These are the qualifying conditions that can get you a medical marijuana card in Mississippi. As of right now, there are no physicians that can sign and give you a medical marijuana card. Once you get a card, you can then purchase 3.5 grams of flower a day or 1 gram of concentrate, and no more than 3 ounces per month. Flower is capped at 30% THC, while concentrate products are capped at 60% THC. How do you get a medical marijuana card? As of right now, the medical marijuana market in Mississippi is non-existent. On the Mississippi State Department of Health website, it will begin by June 2022 accepting applications. So they're not even accepting applications at this time. But once in June, it'll take a week to get your card, and it'll take about a month to get cultivating, processing, other like that. To give you a little context, 69% of voters in 2020 voted in a medical cannabis law, where the Mississippi Supreme Court striked it down. And more voters voted for a broad program than the more restrictive program that actually got passed. Applications will begin in 2020. Where does that leave us now?
And it's going to be a while before we actually see it available to patients who need it.
Yeah, we were looking at about this time last year for possible patients getting it, and having it overturned just delays us another year. So we're probably about 11 to 12 months away from patients actually receiving medicine.
Well, we're in this weird limbo period that always seems to happen with politicians. This isn't the only thing that politicians do this with, but it happens so often with marijuana that you can kind of see it happening with everything else. They sign a bill into law and then they wait a long period of time. They need to set up proper rules and procedures on how things are going to run day to day.
Brandon Mayor Butch Lee says the city is still trying to decide what to do about medical marijuana. Governor Tate Reeves signing the measure into law gives cities and counties until June 1st to either opt out of allowing it in their city or county limits, or allow it to come there to do business, and then with that comes a host of zoning questions.
During this time, city councils and local municipalities opt out of this bill, which happens a lot, and which will happen, and it will be done very quickly. Very, very quickly, almost overnight. Being able to opt out of something is so easy for municipalities to do, especially in a southern state. During this time, it might be a good idea to see if there might be any Zoom sessions, or south. There's no they can't. Try to go in to a local town hall meeting so that way you let your voice be heard. A lot of municipalities will start opting out. There are no tax breaks for any businesses that will be starting up in Mississippi. So you will see very little outside forces come into Mississippi. I think I answered all of the questions on medical weed. Now it's time to go into more of the weeds. Yeah, let's see. Oh man, this is perfect. I think what's funny is the governor's speech that we went over a couple weeks ago. And if you want it, you can go check it out. In the description, there'll probably be a card. Pretty much everything he laid out in his little speech of 3.5 grams is too much marijuana is almost moot first week of him signing it into law.
Well, with the passing of the medical marijuana bill, a local medical marijuana growing facility is currently under construction. A Mockingbird Indoor Grow Facility is a state-of-the-art production building that will be used to grow and create medical marijuana products. A Mockingbird cannabis facility is looking to hire 150 to 200 people in the next couple of months. The CEO, Clint Patterson, says that the opening of the facility will bring a large immediate economic impact to the city and the state of Mississippi.
It's going to be even harder, for instance, to fill jobs in Mississippi.
Boom! His first point already fucking mooked, my guy. Like, just right here, where he says that you won't be able to fill jobs. You just created thousands of new jobs. There's construction workers working now on new facilities. Besides proving the governor absolutely, totally wrong, him getting absolutely rolled and smoked, that's pretty much one of the only good things, besides obviously, you know, Mississippians being able to purchase marijuana in a year. There is a lot of shortcomings on this bill, specifically who can get treated for medical marijuana. Now, even though the list I showed you at the start of the video is something typical and what we see across the board in most states, it also leaves out a lot of mental health disability.
It's not fair of the state to say you have a physical disability, therefore you can use medical marijuana. But you have a mental disability, therefore you can't.
Some of the very few on here are autism. That's it. That's it, dude. That's fucked. Nothing in there for anxiety or depression, but it is a shortcoming that can be remedied. Be on the lookout for any petitions that you're able to sign. Start making your voices heard so your local municipalities know that the people living there actually want weed, and they'll do what they can to get it. Talking about how we dumpstered and dumpstered Tate Reeves on being able to get people jobs is something else I want to cover. There is no tax incentive. There's nothing. The tax incentive is kind of good because fuck corporations, you know? This makes it less appetizing, for lack of a better word, for nationwide companies, people who pick up their roots and place it down in every legalizing state and just changing the brand, just changing the face everywhere they go so they don't have to like be under hot water being a nationwide company. It gives less incentive for that, which is nice, which is good. However, on that same note, they aren't giving any beneficiaries, any no tax breaks, nothing to help cultivate an industry. They're relying solely on rich ass people to just make it. There's a guy who's been building all across the nation and pretty much just wants to build in Mississippi because he knows that the market's there. One good thing about this market though is there's no caps on anything. Even though there's no caps on the licenses that can be given out, I predict a lot of counties and municipalities in Mississippi opting out of the bill, meaning they won't have any practitioners, no dispensaries. There might be places that will allow like their corporate offices or testing facility, but no actual product to be stored in their zoning area. And I think that's going to be a little hard for people of Mississippi to actually get the right treatment, because this is still medical. Let's be honest here. It's medical. It's not recreation. I hate to actually bring this up, but I think we forget about it because we're just talking about weed. We're talking about people who need treatment, who are sick. Like, we're doing this so that these people don't have a better quality of life. And the main issues and the main points being argued are economical, because that's all that fucking matters, and not, you know, people who need actual medicine that can help them. It won't cost an arm and a leg, you know? Since there's no tax incentives, it needs to be brought up, especially in fucking Mississippi. This should be brought up considering Mississippi had to change their flag because it was a Confederate flag. There are no programs. There is absolutely nothing to help underprivileged people or people who were locked up or marijuana either get out of jail or uplift the community that has been affected on the war on drugs. You cannot talk about marijuana at all without having some sort of program in place, being able to uplift those affected by the prohibition and to help the communities of those affected by the prohibition. There needs to be a plan in place for that. At any step, the first step should always be righting the wrongs instead of, oh, how can we make money off of this? I don't know why I'm even talking about that, because it doesn't fucking matter. All you really care about with weed is how much money we can make off of it. I don't think Mississippi will have any equitable programs anytime soon, honestly. Yeah, all of the stories that I saw is just old rich white dudes that have a bunch of capital and construction companies that are able to waste their money sitting around for 2 years. Because that's what happened 2 years ago when they finally passed this via voters. You had old, rich, dumb white dudes who made their money in construction to begin with, sitting on their hands, waiting for 2 years for the legislation to finally give them the green light to start building something. And these guys with exponential income that they can just throw away are able to build these multi-million-dollar facilities, regardless of how much it costs.
I want to be the Chick-fil-A of cannabis.
Steve Merritt has helped build cannabis growing facilities all over the country. He moved to Mississippi to build this one. This vast cement slab will become Southern Sky Brands. The facility being built from the ground up near the Nissan plant in Canton. Justin Mafuz is one of the founders.
The core group of our guys are from Mississippi. We thought this was a great opportunity to help deliver Mississippi-based products for Mississippi patients, and we're all Mississippi guys. So it's kind of a hometown, home state feel.
It's been a stressful year. Mahfouz and his partners were part of a rush of developers hoping to open medical marijuana facilities when voters approved the initiative in November 2020. But months later, the state Supreme Court struck it down because of flawed language in the state constitution's ballot initiative process. That left Mahfouz and others in limbo.
We've kind of been sitting on the sidelines, and at some point it becomes a significant business risk.
For me, my father was a Superior Court judge. Before that, he was a district attorney. He actually put people in jail for marijuana.
Where'd you go to school?
In Georgia. Yes, sir, that's where I'm originally from.
Mm-hmm.
I met a medical doctor who absolutely changed my mind. I grew up being against it. I grew up thinking that it was bad being a religious person, being a believer. It was really hard for me to accept it because of my dad was a deacon. Everything in this industry seemed to be against what I was about.
So you are in the cannabis business now in another state?
I have been I have not actually been an owner, but I've built over 100, or been associated with building 150 different cannabis facilities all over the nation.
So why Mississippi?
Well, the owners of this particular facility, when I met them, culturally we fit. I've been offered some other jobs to come in and manage some other facilities. And just
Can you mention who they are?
Sure.
Farming operations, or they have businesses?
They have businesses. They've been in the oil business and waste management. So they have a real estate business. They're very successful business people. They basically said, you've got a lot of history. We don't have any history in this whatsoever. We know nothing about it, but we want to understand it and we want to get into the business. They have a great business.
I think all in all, Mississippi will be fine. Having medical marijuana is better than not having medical marijuana. Like, it being legal is still better than it being illegal, whether it's, restricted or whatever. I think you're going to see a lot of people actually go and work in weed in Mississippi. You're going to see a lot of people move from other southern states that don't have a program. They will come to Mississippi because it's probably one of the closest states that has a program like this. But I think that we'll see probably by the end of this year, at least infrastructure up. They'll be done building probably by the end of this year. But you're probably not going to be able to purchase anything until early next year, probably about this time next year. If they're not even opening up licensing until June. Let me quickly dive in on that. The licensing isn't supposed to open until June, which means nobody has a clear shot on, getting a license or anything until a couple months. But yet you are seeing all of these places start building. Why is that? Because they're already guaranteed a license.
The building's going to be in Canton.
Yeah.
The mayor of Canton, the people there have been wonderful and been very accepting and open.
Like I said before, these motherfuckers have income to burn. So if they can't get the first license, they're going to spend money until they can get it, because they spent over $1 million on this facility. Spending a couple $1,000s to get a license ain't shit to them, which puts people who aren't fucking moguls already at a huge disadvantage. Someone who has the expendable income of these construction companies. All right, that's my piece. I don't want to rant and rave too much about it because it's just capitalism. It has nothing to do with weed. Congratulations. Good job, Mississippi. You did it. At least you got weed now. There's not much good I can manage. That's all you need to know about Mississippi weed. Hopefully you're one of the qualifying patients and you get a Mississippi medical marijuana card. You'll be able to purchase medical marijuana for the first time sometime soon. Hopefully. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you tune in for the next one.